So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is live Thursday show. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I've got three new colour books and I've got a new rule that I don't want a new colour book, but Harry Clarke was my inspiration a few years ago when I did my degree, and he is my kind of, I used to draw like with line drawing, very similar. So in Ireland, obviously, because he was Irish, he was an illustrator, but he also was quite famous for all his stained glass window work. And because of that, he had a twin brother. I think his father did it as well, but they both died at an early age because in those days stained glass window was all leaded windows, and it was the lead that was poisonous. So unfortunately he wasn't on the planet long, but my goodness, he did some wonderful illustrations. The other colour book was The Magic Garden, and it was a bit different. I don't know why, I just was drawn to it. Sometimes you are just drawn to certain books, and it was just unusual. So the Harry Clarke was £5, which is a lot, but it was kind of one of these things. It was damaged but had to have. And the other reason is I want to do some stained glass window black and white work for a colour book, and so it would be a bit easy to see how you actually physically translate a stained glass window into a colour book page. And then finally this whimsical wonderland was £3, and there was a group of about 6 different books, but I just thought this might look quite nice. So it's a journal as well. I thought it said it was a journal. Yes, it's an adult colouring journal. So actually the reason I've got this is I thought about using it for some Bible journaling, as in completely away from drawing and creating in the Bible, because I've got a couple of those that I've bought recently. So this would be quite nice to actually have a bit of a scribble. The problem I have is I hate my writing and I'm not very good at writing, but this might, it could maybe make me write a few words. But I really don't like reading my writing, and I don't like keeping my writing. But perhaps Bible journaling is going to change that for me and give me a bit more kind of confidence to think, well, if, you know, I've read it, I'm reading it, I'm writing it, kind of thing. So I do quite like that. It's a different colouring book. So I don't need the blue band, although it's quite pretty. It's gold. It's quite tactile. I have a problem if it's such a nice book actually writing things down. But I think sometimes I could probably use it for things I'm not writing very much, just maybe one important sentence, and maybe using it for that. I'll have to think about that, because that's thrown me, because I really do not. I love the idea of journaling and writing, but I always tend to not do it. So the only thing I could possibly do is to give it to one of my girls, because they have a 20th and an 18th birthday coming up, and they always need note things. So actually I think I might give that to one of my girls, because again, I'm going through this stage of I want to do things, and I think I should do them, and I know how to do them, but I know I'm not going to do them if I'm really honest, because it's not my thing. So I mean, it was £3. It's fine. I can throw it in as an extra little prezzy, so that's fine. That's fine. I can live with that. That's why I sometimes hate buying books you can't open. It drives me insane. So what I try and do is I look for a book. When I like it, I look to see if somebody's done a flip on YouTube. And I was telling a lady about that. We had a funeral at the Abbey on Tuesday. And she wanted a Bible. So I said, well, the best thing to do, a children's Bible, is to find one you like. And you probably find a YouTube video that has done a flip. Now, when you open this, these pop out. And I noticed that there were quite a few books that were broken, but I just really like these, and I felt I could do the watercolouring. I had two thoughts. One would be the watercolour effects would be a good practice, and it's quite thick, so you could get, you know, quite dark, and you could get a really nice watercolour effect without being too wet. And the other one I thought about maybe doing line drawing inside, but the more I look, the more I'm drawn to practicing light to dark with colour as a watercolour effect. But when I invented watercolouring, it was designed to do it with a teaspoon of water. So I think this probably will work really well. It would work quite well, practicing light to dark watercolouring. I think that would work really well. The spaces aren't too big. If they're too big, you end up with, if you were doing this is quite good paper, but if you were doing this on an ordinary colour book, you may have to make this smaller, because if you took your water brush from light to dark, you'd probably get a little buckle on there. So people always ask me about watercolouring. It all depends on what the page is like and what size of pattern. These probably just about get away. Any bigger than this and you will get a buckle. So it depends whether it bothers you. This one you may not, because you could do this one and then go do another one over there. This one you probably wouldn't. So this might be a good practice for watercolouring. So you can see exactly, and I think they are a bit shiny, these. So I quite like this one. Oh, Suzanne says I could use the markers on. Yeah, I'm a bit obsessed with my Winsor & Newton watercolour markers. So again, you can't do this technique with thinner books, but some you could probably put a dot of colour and then get your water brush and just manipulate it out. Now you probably could do that in here. Oops, again, the glue is a bit flimsy, but the pages are very thick, very thick. I don't know if it actually tells us. It has like a very thick cardboard. It says the cover design by Virginia Araga de Malabeb. Excuse me. The Black Dog and Levant. 2015. It says US $15.99 and Canada. 60 magical gardens on metallic paper to colour and share. That's why they pop out then, because you can share them. So you can do these wonderful vivid colours. I actually think I quite like, although they're very dramatic shapes, I kind of like the idea of doing them with a watercolour. But yes, you could probably, in fact, because they're single-sided, you could use ordinary markers if you really wanted. Oh, you mean my babies? Oh, I could use the, oh yes, I could do that, couldn't I? Oh, that's a good idea, Suzanne. Yes, because I can use these in any book. Right. I can use these watercolour markers in any book, but it's always nice to use your chameleon blendable pens. Yes, is that what you meant, Suzanne? I'm going to put a sticky note on there to say I'm going to be using my blendable pens. And I did have some sticky notes handy so that I will be able to. I don't think I can write that small. Right, so we've got yep, chameleon. I can use my chameleons and my toppers. Yeah, they'd be quite good, and they're a bit small spaced, but that's fine because you can really change the colours and that. So yeah, that would be a challenge. Yes, they should look quite nice, those. I like to use easy things at the minute, so I'm using my watercolour pens quite a lot. So that one might be a little bit small, perhaps. Perhaps not. But again, the wonderful thing about the chameleon blendable pens is you can use them as a solid marker as well. They are a marker pen in their own right, as well as 10 other tones and shades. So the toppers would be quite nice, because these you could go from a purple to a blue or a green to a blue. They would look really nice. Or a brown tinged edge, so you've got a leaf but it's brown. Thank you, Suzanne, for that. Yep, that's a wonderful idea, because I've neglected those and I keep neglecting different colour books as well, so I've got lots and lots of things to have a look at. So if it's a small space, I can use the marker tip, and then they've got the brush tip at the other end. And the toppers, you can do 4 or 5 different colours. Wonderful, wonderful chameleon pens. And any single-sided will be fine, but I bet these don't go through. So yeah, that would be gorgeous. So I think I'll put that on my list of next Thursday. Yeah, some really nice paint. And they're very, very thick, are these. Very thick and shiny. I've not seen this book before, and I think it was the fact that it was such a very, very thick hardboard book cover kind of drew me to it. Obviously a lot more than £4 that I paid for it. And of course the crane. There's some nice greys in there as well, so that should, yes. I can see the little red beetles as well. Normally I do very pale colours, but this is an opportunity to be very, very bold, as we all would like to be. That's like the Chinese blossom, that one. And that has kind of a very dark colour, but then it can go very light very quickly. So thank you for Suzanne for that. That is a wonderful idea. Where would we be without fibs? Yes, I can see lots and lots of extremely bright, vivid colours. And again, that's taking you out of your comfort zone, but that's what colouring and being an artist is all about. It's, you know, if you draw the same painting over and over again, eventually it will be so perfect, it will be so boring. So sometimes it's quite nice to try something you've not done for a while. And I just find these actually quite pleasing as they are, I have to say. Oh, Suzanne says she calls them the kiss markers. Oh yes, because they kiss. Because I always say to them, you don't want to run the tops on, you just want to make them kiss. But you see, of course, look at these colours. When you see these colours, it's really out of my comfort zone. Oh, sorry, I'm not in frame. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Virginia Araga de Maherb. That's about the best we can get. I don't think. The Magic Garden. So that is quite a beautiful book. Quite a beautiful book, and I thought was very different for me for that. So the last one, oh, that was an Elf Master. So this is the Harry Clarke colour book, and he did some, his characters are quite ugly and quite scary. I always remember there's he does, like, instead of just drawing something, he kind of, oh, come on. There's so much detail. I'll drop the camera for this, and then we can see just how wonderful. Sorry about that, guys. Right, so this is the Harry Clarke colouring book, and sort this one out a minute. You really do have to see these details to believe them. They are spectacular. So they really are, but quite scary. Oh, I've got pointed nails and but all this beautiful detail. Is absolutely fantastic. This is oops, let's see if I can just, these are the stained glass window of Harry Clarke. So, and he has, although he was born in Ireland, he has some in England as well, but they're not kind of the norm. And his colours actually change. So this is Angel playing a musical instrument. And again, because of the pointed nose, you wouldn't automatically think she's an angel, really. Quite obscure colourings, but it was these patterns that I love. The flowers, the flora. It's a design for a handkerchief. Again, this is the elixir of life, but look at the face. It's quite scary, and the pointy fingers with the fingernails. But absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous. But look at the ring on the hand and the pointing fingers, and the horrible long fingernails. Very, very, very scary for a children's illustrator. And some of his characters look a bit mean, and you know, it's a man's face, but it's on a woman. Again, his women look quite kind of manly, but he always does the backgrounds with a lot of detail. And the dress is just spectacular. This is the dress. Very, very unusual. And again, the girls are a bit ugly. The men are even uglier, but the girls are really ugly. And this is the window. So this is quite calming, this one. You see, I'm not used to seeing these, but this is stained glass windows. Look at all the detail, but it's a window. And the one thing he did was he got colours to change. Whereas stained glass window, you had one glass, one colour. He changed his colours of his glass. So you had pale, light and dark. And I always found that fascinating. So again, his faces are quite bizarre, but the dresses, the patterns, there's a pattern on everything. The Lady of Decoration, from a calendar designed and painted for the Glasgow paint manufacturer John Duthie. And again, the faces are just absolutely out of this world. The patterns, and again, you can't just draw one pattern. He's just got so many patterns, and the long hands and things. So loved this with his sorry guys, I've covered it up. As it says, don't forget a third of the angels were cast out of heaven. Is that why they're ugly? But again, this is it's a stained glass window, but how much detail would you have on a stained glass window? All this intricacy. I was trying to find just absolutely spectacular, but very strange. Very strange. But there is a picture, and I'll see if I can find it if it's not in here. Again, this is supposed to be, but the patterns are just spectacular, and the robe patterns, this is just a robe, and the dress is under the robe. I mean, there's such detail. I'm trying to find one of the children's, and I can't seem to find it. But their hands are definitely longer than they should be, definitely. But every robe is patterned. Now this is typical of what I remember seeing. This is an illustration. So this is one of his illustrations. I'll zoom out in a second. But every single thing is patterned. I mean, that's my finger. So you can see. Oh dear. Sorry guys. Oops. That's the end of part 1.